Um, I'm showing you the rates by age. We think that the 18 to 29-year-old may be a little bit problematic. We got different results when we did this in the summer, and we think maybe because we did it in September, when many of these people were at college or whatever, we found there's something screwy and we're going to have to figure that one out. But overall, 82%, it's actually 82.26%, said that they were Jewish by religion. 17.75% said that they were Jewish. In other words, they identified as Jewish.
Unbelievers.
Well, it's very hard to describe it. It's not atheist, because belief in God does not differentiate those people who, there are people who say that they are Dati, who also say that they don't believe in God. They're orthopraxis, they're whatever. Now, it turns out that this...
I don't understand exactly. Who are those 17%?
Okay, so these are people who, when you ask them the direct question, what is your religion? They say, my religion is not Judaism. They say, my religion is no religion. When you ask them...
They say no religion or no Jewish?
They say no religion.
No.
They don't check off Jewish. When you ask them the question,
Are you Jewish?
do you consider yourself Jewish in any way? They say yes. When you add these people, almost all of them, virtually all of them, have Jewish parents. They often had Jewish education when they were children, and so on. Now,
is the question, are you Jewish in any way? It couldn't be that that's the question. Because the survey could...
No. We have 10 different questions, and I'm glad to put it. I'm glad to share the actual. I'll post the questions and send them to you if you'd like. We ask questions about, are you secular Jew? Are you? I forget the exact. It's a fairly elaborate protocol. What I was about to say, though, is that this figure of 18% rounded off is right in the middle of other estimates of the number of people, who consider themselves Jewish by criteria other than religion. In JPS, it was much higher. In JPS 2000, it was over 20%. Barry Cosman's work suggests it's over 20%. So we're using a relatively conservative figure. By putting this together, you could put it by eliminating certain groups. You could make it less. The problem that we have is, I think in Israel, if you say that you are Chilon, that Chiloni may be people who don't on a regular basis go to Bet Knesset. In America, if you are Jewish and you don't belong to a shul and you don't daven on a regular basis, then you may not call yourself Jewish by religion, but in fact, your name is Cohn, your name is Levi, whatever. You know that you are Jewish. You were raised Jewishly. Now,
But what it means Judaism for them? You ask the question, what it means for the 17%?
that they identify culturally as Jewish. They think that their heritage is very important. They know what their heritage is. Israel may be very important. I was saying to Avinoam before we started this, anybody know who is probably the most popular American now, both journalist and comedian?
Stewart.
Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is absolutely clear. He is a Jew. He repeats it often in his show. Anybody makes a comment about things Jewish or even Israel, he will make a comment, I'm a Jew. He's a non-synagogue going, non-practicing, intermarried person who calls himself a Jew. If we want, from a policy perspective, we'll talk about it later, individuals Jon Stewart may be the market that we need to reach if we want to expand.
You don't know how he would answer if you would ask him, are you Jewish by religion or not? He may say yes. He just doesn't belong to a synagogue.
Yeah, you don't, in his case, you don't know, but it seems to me he is characteristic of many of the people. Yeah.
I can't contradict these numbers, but when I look at the NJPS outmarriage numbers and I look at the number of Jews by religion that we got here, it's some way contradicting, because if 50% of the American Jews are marrying out of the community, and you have, let's say at the age level of 30 to 44, you have only 20% which are cultural Jews or secular Jews. So somehow this figure seems to be too high.
Well, intermarriage doesn't necessarily mean,
Yeah, so you intermarry.
it doesn't necessarily mean you're leaving the
Yes,
religion.
but-
Sometimes you're bringing someone new in.
It's true, but still, it seems that there are too few cultural Jews here to.
Well, first of all, forget what you know from NJPS, because NJPS is simply wrong. It was a biased, badly done survey that gave us misleading information.
Why? What was the reason?
He said.
I said, and in fact, we've identified in the 2007 paper, we've identified the people that they lost. There are all sorts of people in there who were essentially your liberal Jews who lived in urban areas, and they were simply missed in NJPS 2000. But intermarriage is interesting, and one of the reasons, by the way, back to this slide, one of the reasons for the increase and one of the reasons for the increase here is that increasingly intermarried families are raising Jewish children. And they, I don't know, not the dirty secret, but you know, the perhaps uncomfortable secret about intermarriage is that if one was interested in expanding the population, you would promote intermarriage, because intermarriage is a pretty efficient way of replicating the Jewish people as long as the families raise Jewish children, because it only takes one rather than two to create a Jewish family. And there are some studies, we did a study in Boston in 2005 that found that fully 60% of the individuals who identified as Jewish who were intermarried were raising Jewish children. And it's one of the reasons.
This was unique to Boston. It was
No, I don't
not in
think-
all communities.
Actually, there are other communities which have found this. And in fact, the only thing less well done than the national population survey and many of the local Jewish community surveys, simply because they don't have the resources to do that properly.
Again, when the NJPS checked this raising of the second generation of intermarried Jews, they found out that overall only 30% were raised as Jews.
But again, it's useless. A study with an 18% response rate is not very useful. Listen, NJPS also found that 30%, 30% of the children were being educated in Jewish day schools. Anybody who knows anything about America knows that that's impossible. And in fact, I've looked at, the data hasn't been made public from Arvin Schick, who keeps the census of Jewish day school kids.